What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. Two videos today, two different grades. What I want to show you is this is for mostly 7th grade, but it actually applies a little bit to 8th grade and 6th grade. We're looking at proportional relationships. All right, that's just a fancy way of saying, is it a straight line and does it go through the origin? Basically, if you put in one thing, is another thing going to come out the same time every time? That means it's proportional. In a nutshell, we're going to look at a table of a proportional relationship, and we're going to decide, can we find what's called the constant of proportionality, which is basically a really fancy way of saying the number that they all have in common, right? The thing that's constant of this proportional relationship. And we're going to look at a table and we're going to find it. And we're going to be able to tell from a table, hopefully by the end of this, if something is in a proportional relationship, we're going to be able to find what is its constant of proportionality and how to turn that into an equation. So stick with me. You got this. So here we go. So if you're looking at a table, it's really simple. You ready? All you're going to do is divide. What? Yeah, that's it. It's pretty much simple. You're going to take these numbers, these x's and these y's, and you're going to divide them. Okay? Generally, as an unwritten rule, we'll call it, you want to do it as y over x. Okay? You can do it as x over y, but you want to generally do it as y over x. Okay? So I'm going to do what's 2 divided by 1. Again, y, 2 over 1, divided by x. Again, it's okay if you do it as x over y. That's not a problem. But generally, you want to do it as y over x, and I'll show you why. Okay? So what's 2 divided by 1? Well, that's 2. Don't worry about 0 right now. Okay? If it's 0, 0, that's a good thing. That means it is going through the origin. That's not a bad thing. You don't have to divide those. 4 divided by 2, 2. 6 divided by 3, 2. Bam! Guess what? You divided all of those and got the same exact answer. Okay? This number that you found, this 2, that is your constant of proportionality. Okay? So, because you divided by all these, divided each one of these, and got the same answer of 2, that also means it's a proportional relationship. If I were to graph this, it would go straight through the origin, and it would be a straight line. Okay? Which is what a proportional relationship is. Now we get into the more complicated part. Again, 2 we know is our constant proportionality. Now we're just going to write the equation. But here's the thing. This is not hard. All right? You found the constant proportionality of 2. So all you're going to write is y equals, and instead of r, notice this part, instead of r, you're going to put 2. And you're done. That's literally it. And look, we could prove it. If I were to take, when x is 1, if I plug that in right here, y equals 2 times 1. What's 2 times 1? Well, that's 2. And notice, it's exactly what we wanted to get. Okay? That is writing an equation from a table using and seeing if it's proportional relationship. Now, if something happens like this, where we'll say this is a 9 instead, you do the division, you get 2, and you get 3. Okay? Is this in a proportional relationship? No. Because all of these, when you divide them, have to be the exact same thing. So tip, really, this whole thing is all about this symbol right here, division. And remember, y over x is generally kind of the best way to look at it. Okay? That is telling if something is in a proportional relationship using a table. But don't go away. Wait, I have something else for you too. This one is a type of question that you're also going to see that deals with proportional relationships, and all kinds of kids struggle with this. I'm going to make this super easy for you. Okay? Proportional relationships have to deal with unit rates. Okay, notice in that last one we talked about y over x. We talked about, 2 over 1, this being our constant of proportionality. This is similar. Okay, using unit rates is super helpful. So this is a question. Adriana uses 1/4 cups of pretzels for every 1/2 cup of raisins. Okay, it wants to know what is the number of cups of pretzels Adriana uses for 1 cup of raisins. Okay, now that seems kind of easy, and it is, but I'm going to talk about it. You always want to put this in a ratio, okay, or a proportional relationship. See if this is proportional. You can then take this ratio and turn it into a unit rate. You will see it is easy. So I'm going to take 1 1/4 and 1/2. I'm writing those as a ratio. I know that looks really weird, but it's really okay. I promise. Okay, so this thing wants to know, this is raisins, how much pretzels? What is this part? How many pretzels? What is here? when I have 1 cup of raisins. Keep in mind this is raisins. So it wants to know what's here when I have this. Okay, there are a couple of ways to do this. Okay, this is your missing part. I have seen some people do cross multiplication like this. That is totally an option. Totally doable. Okay, where you do 1/2 times x, you get 1/2 x is equal to 1 1/4. That is totally something you can do. Okay, but I have an easier way for you. All right, and it's because of this beautiful number right here, the 1. Okay, anything with a 1 makes this super simple. All right, because you know how to get from 1/2 to 1. Now you can't add 1/2. It's not how it works, right? Anything divided by itself is always 1. So I'm going to divide this by a half. All right, 1/2 divided by a half is 1. Right? If this was a 3, and I would just divide by 3 to get to a 1. If it was a 1 1/4, I would just divide by 1 1/4 to get to 1. Right? It doesn't matter. Every single one of those is going to get to 1 if you divide it by itself. Okay? So, with that in mind, what I do to my denominator, I also do to my numerator. So I'm just going to divide this by a half as well. Okay? When you do that, you find your answer. Right? So this is really straightforward, right? It's 1 1/4 divided by a half, right? Which is just division of fractions. I've made videos on that. Other people have made videos on that. If you're struggling with that, go find some help. I'm going to do it quick by turning this into 5/4, right? I just turned this into an improper fraction, right? I'm going to change this to a multiplication sign and then do the reciprocal of that guy, and I'm going to end up getting 10/4, okay? Which is also, if you divide that out, that becomes 2.5 cups, okay? That right there is the process. If you get a question where it says, hey, if you have this and this, but you want it with 1 cup of raisins, what do you do? All right? And sometimes you'll see, well, what happens when you get, you want to know this with 3 cups of raisins? Okay, well, don't panic. Okay, that actually, it's easier to go to 1 first. So if you ever get a question where it wants to know like 3 cups of raisins or 1.5 cups of raisins, don't panic. Go to 1 first. The reason you go to 1 first is I now know 2.5 is 1 cups, right? This is where your unit rate is so helpful. 2.5 cups of pretzels is the same as 1.5 cup raisins, but it wants to know 3. Okay. So what happens with 3 cups? Well, it's now easy with 1, because to get from 1 to 3, I just multiply by 3. So you just do the same thing. If this was 8, you would just multiply by 8. Because you have 1, you're able to do a lot more. All right, so I showed you 2 things today, looking at graphs and finding proportional relationships. We also looked at some cooking recipes and things, what happens if you need to figure out how many cups of raisins or whatever something is. You look at those ratios, turn them into unit rates, which are also, to a certain degree, proportional relationships. Hope this helped. You guys are awesome. Keep working hard. Stay out of trouble.